Yes, I have been in Sri Lanka Railways for 31 years, from 1975 right up to end of 2005. Uh, Before that, actually, I graduated from Murto University in 1973, and for a very brief period of 6 months, I was working at Department of Education as a engineering assistant before I got the permanent appointment at Mahali Development Board in 1974 June. So I worked in Mahali Development Board for a close one period of 1 year, and then joined Sri Lanka Railways. So while giving this addressing you on the subject of ethics, I will be of course taking some examples from my own career to sort of educate you how you should handle various issues when it comes, various issues and challenges, I must say, when it comes, when you become engineers and you work at various places. So thank you. Now, initially, we will see what this ethics is. What is ethics actually? Now, this is a subject that actually I have not learned in my university days for various reasons that I will tell you later. But what is ethics? Ethics is generally called, it's a moral principle of moral or moral principles. So, if we, my my slide is not moving. Why is that? Tilak, this slide is not
yeah, it's okay now. Now it's moving. Yeah.
It's okay now. It's okay. Yeah. Right. So it is morals principles. It's a sort of the righteous decisions and righteous things that you should do in the profession, right? When it comes to engineering profession. So this is what I can sort of tell you, that something which can be done but not morally acceptable. That is, you can do so many things, but those are not actually morally acceptable. Now I'll come to that later. What I mean by that, and it is not morally correct. Also, as engineers and professionals, it's not morally correct to engage in such activity. So, shall we take first of all the socially? Socially. Now, what I tell you is fitting on roads and public places. That is not morally correct. What people do it. So that's what I want to sort of put through to you. Then another thing is socially resting your feet on opposite seat in public transport. That people do in Sri Lanka, but that is actually not quite correct, because another person is going to come and sit in that particular seat later on. So these are things that we should try to avoid. Now, what is professionally? Now, professionally, now work below engineering standards. Now, when I say work below engineering standards, I mean supposing you give a contract or to do some road work, then what will happen? You're supervising. When you become engineer, you're supervising, and you allow the contractor to do a substandard work, not according to the specifications, not according to technical specifications. You allow him to do substandard work. So, which means contractor is going to gain money, and sometimes they say that the engineer also is going to get part of that what contractors gain. So that is not at all with regard to our moral principles of professional stance. Then also there are some engineers who infringe into areas of non-competency. Now, if I take example, now there are civil engineers who try to do structural work, who try to do building multi-story building designs, right? And who supervise building design. But there are structural engineers who are really competent, who can really do this kind of work. So we should not infringe into areas where we are not competent. Right. Now, then again, favoritism in tenders. You try to sort of favor one of your own people, a colleague, friends of somebody to get a tender. while being in a tender board or whatever it is, or in evaluation committee. So these are issues actually in some sort of a indirect way or direct way, you are trying to earn some money which is not clearly authorized to you. So this is what I want to sort of tell you, put through to you. So this is not at all according to moral principles. Now we'll go to the next slide. Next slide. Now, why did this ethics introduce? Because there were so many things which were happening, which was not according to moral principle, especially with the advent of open economic policies in 1977-78. Now, actually, most of you would have not been born even at that time, but actually, there was a time that, you know, there were some difficult times in Sri Lanka, not like today, or little must be little better than today. But yet then there were certain shortages and all that in Sri Lanka. But all of a sudden in 1977-78, all these things were actually lifted off. I mean, they didn't happen anymore, and open economic policies were introduced. With that, expectations of individuals were much more than their income levels. That is, actually they wanted to buy various things, which actually things were flooded in the market. Electronic items were flooded in the market. Then maybe there were many vehicles which have come, brand new vehicles which had come. Then people want to do house construction, because earlier the steel was in short supply, because only the steel corporation in Sri Lanka was manufacturing steel. And then, of course, they started importing steel. But actually, these things actually there was some negative aspect also to Sri Lanka, by, you know, where the local industry suffered, came in. But that's a different aspect altogether. It doesn't relate here. So whatever it is, there was a clamor. There was people want to buy a lot of things, like, you know, that the TV. First of all, the TV came in 1981. So there were people who really wanted to buy televisions, and all this happened. They want to buy various things due to their to make their comfort standards, enhance their comfort standards, as well as enhance the comfort standards of their families. In order to sort of prevent people earning unauthorized monies, to prevent unscrupulous ways of earning money, only these ethics were introduced by these institutes of engineers in early 1980s. And later on, I think from 1990s onwards, the universities took up this, and especially the international universities also took up this, and then it was introduced as a subject in the university system from 1990s. So then let me come about the free education. Now, all of us have got a free education, from the school days right up to the end of the university career. So actually, there's obligation on the part of every one of us, to serve as a righteous citizen and a professional. Actually, the time we passed out from the university, we had to compulsorily serve the government or state institution, state corporation for 5 years before we could even think of going abroad or shifting onto a private company or private firm. So that was the time but actually only a few engineers passed out at that time, and there were enough opportunity in government service and state sector to employ us. But now it is not so. So now I think they have taken that rule out, and you can get employed anywhere you like. And also, there are more, especially with more IT people passing out, there are more opportunities in the private sector, I think, than in government sector now. So anyway, that's a different thing. So it's a requirement that we have actually used taxpayers' money. We have got an education. We have been made engineers and professionals. So there's a requirement to give back in return what to the country and to the society what we had really got. So for which we had to work with integrity and honesty. While working with integrity and honesty, we should not encourage commissions and reward. Not that I'm making use of the word encourage. Is not that we should not allow other people also to get commissions and rewards. That is what I'm emphasizing on. So then again, I like to quote sentence from Dhammapada, Yo Dhammo, Yo Vinyo. What does it mean? Hetupala Dhamma, Baha Galapa Bala, Naya Vinaya, Sasanda Bala, Katyutu Karan. That means, for every Hetua, there's a Palaya, and for every Palaya, there's a Hetua. So if you have got some education, if you have received some education, with somebody else's money, with the citizens' money, with the taxpayers' money, then of course, definitely, you have to serve them to the society. Otherwise, what will happen? You are in debt. You will be a Nayakarya. So don't be a Nayakarya. So always try to do an honest job with integrity and honesty, and don't encourage commissions and rewards. So that is how I feel, and that's how I have done in my career. And of course, I had to face a lot of challenges while doing that, both sometimes with my seniors as well as with politicians. So I will, while going through this lecture, I will give certain examples how I overcame those challenges with while at work, while doing work. So